Well, this is an amazing tribute to an amazing man. I just want to thank you all for being here, in case I forget to at some point. But thank you very much, each and every one of you, for being here. And people are standing out the back. This is amazing. Paul's website was referred to many times. If you're interested, paulkitchen.net. There's paulkitchen.net, and you can find out more. In the New Testament, Timothy was Paul's spiritual son, and Paul was Timothy's mentor. I feel a strong connection with these two biblical characters. Not only was Paul Kitchen my mentor, he was also my spiritual father. But I had it one better than St. Timothy. Paul was my real father. I'm very proud of my father, Paul Kitchen. He was an amazing man who taught me so much about love and compassion, about the arts, about history, about research, about technology, about faith, and about passion. Paul was a very passionate man. Let me tell you about some of his passions from my perspective. Firstly, Paul's passion for the land of Israel, the land of Palestine. One of the greatest lessons he taught me was to love and care for those in need. He did this every day in his professional life, and we witnessed this in his personal life. Dad's professional and personal life blended together in the early 1970s when he, Mum, and the small family that he had at the time, well, you weren't quite born then, went and lived in Nazareth. He followed God's calling to bring his young family to work in what effectively was a war zone. Most of you would be aware that we lived in a small hospital compound in Nazareth, Israel, during the Yom Kippur War with Syria. We also lived in Gaza for a short time. I have so many wonderful memories of these years. Paul worked as a surgeon alongside doctors and nurses who were Palestinian Christians, Palestinian Muslims, Jews, and lots of expatriates from various faith backgrounds from all over the world. We felt the pain of the Palestinians and of the Jews firsthand. But we also experienced the great hope of potential peace in that region. Then there's Paul's passion for work. Those of you who knew him well knew that his work ethic was based on the philosophy that if you want a job done properly, you have to do it yourself. His other philosophy was, I feel guilty if I dare to relax and do nothing. Even something as relaxing as watching television after a hard day at work always involved having at least a laptop open, and in more recent years having his laptop synced to his iPad, which was of course synced to his personal digital assistant, which for some reason remained a Palm Pilot all these years. Paul's passion for creativity. Paul was a passionate film and video editor. Originally with Super 8 film. Remember the old cameras? No? Oh, maybe not. He had an old splicing machine, and in more recent years, Lisa and I introduced him to iMovie and Final Cut. And then we became his online help desk at all hours of the day and the night. Paul's study, if you ever get a chance to go and see it, oh, I've seen it, is packed with old Super 8 film reels, Hi-8 tapes, VHS tapes, mini DV tapes, and DVDs of overseas trips, Israel work parties, and lots of family occasions. Memories that will last thanks to the efforts that he put into documenting and archiving over the years. Paul was also a passionate and very skilled musician, as we've heard. He instilled in us a love for playing and listening to music. This is a lifelong gift that I will always treasure and seek to pass on. Then there's Paul's passion for research. If you look at Dad's academic credentials on the front of the order of service, you'll notice that between the impressive medical qualifications, he also had a Master of Arts. Many of you would also know that before he became sick, he was well into his PhD on first century medicine, a topic he managed to weave into many conversations with anyone who would listen, no matter what the original topic of the conversation was. Paul's passion for his family. He loved having family around, like Fiona and Lisa will share on just how important his grandchildren were to him. I personally was most inspired by the way he cared for Meryl's parents, who sold up their home in Box Hill and lived with Mum and Dad in Lower Templestowe in the early 80s. Since the death of my grandfather in 1984, he has showed an inspiring dedication to looking after Nan, Meryl's mum, now 91. I wasn't supposed to mention that, was I? Sorry. Who continues to have this very special place in all of our hearts. Then there's Paul's passion for Meryl. Dad's unconditional devotion and adoration of Meryl has been nothing but inspirational. He was so proud of Mum's many achievements as a scientist, as a theologian, as a mother, and as a grandmother. He was over the moon when Meryl received the Order of Australia, and it wasn't long before he managed to weave that into every conversation that he had too, no matter what the original topic was. Finally, Paul's spiritual passion. Paul had a very strong Christian faith and held a range of leadership positions in various churches over the years. I admire his spiritual discipline of daily prayers, scripture reading and quiet reflection. I also admire his respect for all faith traditions and his openness to consider more than just the conservative spiritual religious traditions that he was brought up with. Much of who I am today is thanks to Paul. I feel so proud to be his son. In the past few years, he made a concerted effort to tell me how proud he was of me, which I really appreciated. I aim to keep loving and learning and passing on what I've learnt from my father onto my daughter as she grows up, onto my wife, to my family, to my friends, and also the young people that I am so privileged to work with day to day. As St. Timothy was grateful to have a spiritual father in St. Paul, I too am grateful and feel very proud to have had Paul Kitchen as my father. I would like to take this opportunity to sincerely thank my immediate family, my wider family, my friends, my church community at Collins Street Baptist Church, and my colleagues at Strathcona for all their care and support of me during these past few months.